Today, we're diving into a really tense situation unfolding on the border between Bangladesh and Myanmar. We're talking about the Naf River, where a serious crisis is playing out, pretty much hidden from the world's attention. Fishermen, guys who've spent their whole lives on these waters, are being taken right from their boats. They go out for a day's work, just like any other day, and then they just don't come home. So what in the world is going on? Okay, let's get into it. Things really exploded in August of 2025. In just 3 weeks, dozens of fishermen were snatched up, one after another. It started with 46 guys taken over 21 days, then another 12 were seized at gunpoint, bringing the total to a pretty shocking number. 69. Think about that for a second. 69 people just gone from their jobs in less than a month. And behind that number, there's a real human cost. These aren't just statistics, right? We're talking about 43 Rohingya refugees and 26 Bangladeshi nationals whose families have been thrown into total chaos and fear. But here's the thing. This recent spike in abductions, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. To get the full picture of what's happening, we've got to zoom out and look at the bigger pattern here. Yeah, well, August 2025 really put a spotlight on this crisis. The truth is, fishermen in this region have been targets for months. This whole problem has been slowly and steadily getting worse since the end of 2024. And the scale is just staggering. Since December 2024, the estimates suggest that somewhere between 223 and 267 fishermen have been abducted, and they took dozens of their fishing boats too. This isn't just a few random incidents. This is a sustained, organized campaign. And if you want a perfect sign of just how chaotic things are on the ground, just look at the official numbers. Nobody can even agree on how many people are still being held captive. The border guard Bangladesh, the BGB, says 51. But local officials and the trawler associations, they're reporting the higher numbers. It's a total mess. Now, it's not all bad news. There have been some successful rescue operations. The Border Guard and the Coast Guard have actually managed to get over 180 fishermen and 27 boats back. But even with those successes, we have to remember, dozens of people are still out there being held against their will. This crisis is a long way from over. So, that brings us to the big question, right? Who is behind all of this? Well, the answer points to a very powerful armed group that has just recently taken control of the entire area. They're called the Arakan Army. They are an ethnic armed group, and they're fighting for more autonomy in Myanmar's Rakhine state. And right now, they are in a brutal, full-blown conflict with Myanmar's military government. And here is the key fact that changes everything. Since late 2024, the Arakan Army has taken complete control of Myanmar's side of the border. We're talking the entire 271-kilometer stretch. That gives them an incredible amount of power over everything and everyone that moves in this region. And they definitely didn't just luck into this. The AAA has been making some serious moves to lock down their control. They've captured critical military bases, they've moved in more of their own troops, and they're even using drones to watch the area, all while they continue to push major attacks deeper inside Rakhine State. Okay, so we know who the Arakan Army is, and we know they're in control. But that still doesn't answer the biggest question. Why? Why are they targeting civilian fishermen? What's the end game here? Why would a group go through the trouble of systematically kidnapping dozens of fishermen from a neighboring country? It's not about territory, it's not some grand political statement. It's actually about something much simpler: resources. So what this all seems to boil down to is a calculated and pretty brutal strategy of extortion. Look, the Arakan Army is fighting a war, and wars are expensive. They need supplies. By kidnapping fishermen and stealing their boats, they create leverage. They can then demand ransom to fund their war effort, all while showing everyone in the region that they are in charge. When you put it all together, what you're really seeing is a civil war that refuses to stay within its own lines. The brutal conflict that's tearing Myanmar apart is now actively spilling over the border and causing chaos for its neighbor, Bangladesh. In this spillover effect, it isn't just some abstract political idea. For the thousands of people who actually live along this border, it has created a constant state of fear and instability. Just try to imagine living with this every single day. The sounds of war, we're talking artillery shells, mortar fire from clashes happening just across the border. This is now a regular thing for Bangladeshi villagers. The war isn't something on the news for them. It's literally the soundtrack of their lives. And the fallout from this is huge. You got widespread panic in entire communities. There are constant reports of intense gunfire right on the border. And beyond that immediate danger, people are getting really worried about long-term security, about smuggling, about fighters crossing the border, about the entire region just becoming more and more unstable. Which really just leaves us with one final, very tough question. When you have a violent, unpredictable war raging just on the other side of an imaginary line, with armed groups doing whatever they want, can a border like this one ever really be safe for the people who call it home?